Today on this channel, I was going to do a video on making your own cowboy load slash 410 shotgun shells slash 45 Colt, Long Colt, or Mega Colt cartridges for said overbore 410 shotguns out of various brass. Then I got informed that I may be involved in a lawsuit or court case, so there's now a video that's going to be uploaded today on both channels explaining what the hell happened. But on this channel, it's going to be unlisted because I'm presuming my other channel is now going to be flagged for harassment when I was trying to prevent it for the umpteenth fucking time. On that channel, a comment was made that I have to address because I'm getting a little bit annoyed by this. This other subject that's going to be the video title here. Destroying information doesn't make things clearer. Erasing information doesn't make things ever better. And people feed off a vacuum of information in order to create fear, uncertainty, and doubt, and do horrible things. Which is one of my main complaints about the murder in Delphi. Because the police department, at this point, is essentially begging the person who did the evil deed to come forward. Which is not going to happen, because it's been that many years. A person might do it on their deathbed, but anybody could do that on their deathbed, and may be able to come up with enough convincing accidental information that might match. The police would be probably trying to interview the person to get them to say something that truly proves they are the person who did it, and somebody could just randomly keep guessing. Or could guess right by accident. But we'll never really know. Name that person of interest should be the suspect too. He had frequent access to the Monon High Bridge, a public area, and surrounding area. You mean Delphi? In my opinion, he should be top suspect until he gives DNA. Guilty until proven innocent. Unless there's sufficient evidence for someone's guilt, exclusive to, not from, to the incident, you shouldn't be allowed to do that. Other people have willingly volunteered their DNA to be cleared of being bridge guy. No, that's something you may have been lied to about. They didn't willingly do that. They were accused of it and or asked, can we do this to exclude you from the evidence we found? Remember that the police department has not really explained what the quality of that DNA is, or if it's there. Everyone has kept this completely in the dark. There is no transparency. I would not do so, because DNA evidence has an error rate, and it might include you rather than exclude you. The first things they should ask you is, what's your blood type? And where were you on that day? And do you have anything that corroborates your location on the day before, and the day after? Or for the whole week? Anything. I mean, obviously, if the day before you were on the other side of the planet and there's no record of you being on an airplane going there, you probably weren't in Delphi. By the way, I had a video I was going to do today that completely exonerated somebody, but they erased all their fucking evidence from their channel because they felt that I was harassing them. I am so fucking sick of the mob on the internet giving people that impression. But I understand it. This isn't the first time I've been accused of harassing someone while actually debunking the complaint about them and providing it to the lawyer at the time, which was kind of ironic at the time because then the lawyer just said, yeah, screw his channel over. Okay, well then all the data's gone because you didn't bother. The lawyer didn't bother taking the email and printing it and saving it. He only printed it, which meant it had ambiguous characters, which means all the archive links were garbage. Rather than having a temper tantrum, and he is typing lengthy, and then the person cut themselves off. I'm assuming because it's edited, the person removed some content by accident or added it in. But typing lengthy explanations. Now, the person's who's being accused here is irrelevant because I'm going to point out something you may not get away with knowing. There's what you can present in court and what you can get away with doing. Any private citizen can collect DNA from any other citizen if they do the following. Confirm that it's only their DNA. Have them buy a cup from Starbucks that's using gloves that month because COVID-19. They were wearing rubber gloves. They change them. Wait till they change it out. Just monitor the guy you're trying to get the person of interest that you're trying to get DNA from. and have them drink from a soda cup. I mean, you see it on CSI. That's not really how it's done normally, but it can be. Do it as much as you can so you have differential data, meaning you have lots and lots of DNA samples that should be mostly or only from your person of interest. And then recover them. Wipe down their car clean, or wait till they've gone ahead and washed their car. Do a swipe or swab off of things they touched on the car that were only exposed to them and maybe the bugs they ran into. Wait till they go to the store and are pushing on a cart barehanded. Do the same thing. Although during COVID-19 this may be difficult, this may also make it much easier to exclude everybody else's DNA. Wait till they go to the barber shop. Find a way to go into the barber shop right after the guy gets a cleaning. Deliberately and very persnicketedly kneel down on one leg to tie your shoe. Make sure your pants are perfectly clean, brand new pants that you've completely washed and sterilized. Kneel down and pick up their hair on your kneecap. And then say, I'll be right back. Go outside and take the hair samples off, and then go in and actually get your hair cut on purpose. And video record yourself doing these things. If you know of someone, and you know it's a specific person, which is the claim here, these are all person of interest that everybody's named and shamed and then fucking witch hunted on the internet, you can just follow them around. Do you know how fucking easy it is to get someone's DNA samples? Even ancillary shit like hair or dust from their skin or fingerprint. Do you have any idea? If you assume that a crime scene DNA is recoverable without a voluntary sample, why wouldn't this, where you're tracking the person and can do multiple samples without them being able to stop you, why wouldn't you think that that was better evidence? I don't fucking get this. Everyone you could name or has been accused, called out, or witch hunted, whether they know it, gave permission, or admitted to it, they were all DNA tested by this point, because the police department would take every single accusation seriously, even if it was obviously a neighbor pissing off a neighbor by basically using this for trolling material on the internet, which is what keeps happening on Facebook specifically, which is really weird. Every Facebook YouTuber, it doesn't matter, but mostly on Facebook, everybody on Facebook that accuses somebody of being Bridge Guy, which again, Bridge Guy may not have been the murderer. He just might have been somebody who refuses to come forward because he's being accused. Because y'all keep accusing him, including the police. You could have been saying, yeah, if you're looking for that, it's down the hill. It could have been somebody who knew the area really well and hasn't been there in years. Or, yeah, that was just down the hill. Hey, guys, it's down the hill, what you're looking for. You may have had a conversation with them that wasn't recorded. They may have been recording each other. We don't have the recording. But getting someone's DNA without their permission isn't illegal. It has to be collected in such a way that it is documented as a chain of evidence with the ability to confirm it's definitely their DNA first, which means you get multiple samples from multiple sources, proving, yeah, we got these all from sources that we went ahead and sterilized, like the railing at a store that the person always sits against and puts their hand on, or a doorknob on their house. Yeah, that's an incidental source, but contamination levels would be either zero or very low. And we did multiple confirmations, so this is the DNA sequence. And we matched to something we found at a scene of a crime where animals and birds fly over it. Birds fly over it and poop on it. Animals tromp all over it. Bugs. DNA is going to get muddled. That's low-grade DNA. But you're assuming that they were able to get a definitive profile of DNA from that. If you're going to make that assumption, but you're going to make the assumption that someone can be followed around and not illegally grabbing their data because they're just leaving it behind everywhere as DNA they leave behind. You're assuming that's somehow lower grade than something that was out in the wilds that can't be sterilized or separated as easily. Is that the assumption? Now, I'm not directly attacking the person. I've got a link to an archive link to them making this comment and asking this question. This is a very common one. But does anybody actually think of these things for a few seconds before you post these? I don't have to get your permission to break into your computer. I'm a hacker. I don't have to get your permission as a police officer if I get a no-knock warrant and just open the damn door by picking it. You'd be surprised how fast you can pick a lock if you have the proper tools. It's not that complicated. It doesn't even require even 2 seconds. It just looks like somebody opening the door. Plainclothes cops can go into your house, search the place without any suspicion being aroused. They can even just go in the back door if you have an open back or a fence they can hop, if they can get away with it through an alleyway or whatever. Or if it's an apartment building, it's ridiculously easy. They just have to have a no-knock warrant. They don't even have to tell anybody. They just get in. It's permission to basically act like a burglar. They have to document themselves. There has to be more than one of them, but they can search your place without permission. That means they can get your DNA very easily, and it will be exclusively yours, or mostly yours. They can get hair root samples from your comb or brush. The comb I have on my person at all times has at least 1 or 2 hairs in it because I can't get them out. It carries my DNA and sweat gland content and dead cells from my skin that have been packed very nicely in the oils and waxes in the skin. The lining of your clothing is the same way. The lining of your shirt probably contains hair follicles that still have a live root bulb. They go look at your clothing they can look in your garbage. Oh, it's clothing the person was wearing. If we get 50 of them and they all have the same DNA, but it can't be assumed it was somebody who's visiting. It has to be assumed it's the person. Everybody thinks everything in the world runs on CSI except where it's convenient for them to accuse somebody. Again, do you really think it's hard to follow someone around and get their fingerprints, get their DNA, get their tissue samples? Samples from your skin only require like 10 cells to get the proper DNA data. That's touch sampling. Gray Hughes instigates or inoculates. Posted a video where he was talking about how contact DNA is less useful if it's mixed with things. No, it's easier to separate. These preconceived notions that people have when it comes to crime dramas are BS. I think it should actually be a requirement that the FBI and all local police departments get their story straight on what does and doesn't work that year, and say, and contact producers of TV shows and movies and say, as of the year, yada yada, this is the reality. And actually state facts and tell them, if you say something that isn't true, we'll call you out on it on Twitter and post it on our website saying you posted inaccurate information about how DNA collection works. I mean, that's worth doing because there's so much misinformation out there. Like CSI Miami or whatever the hell it is. You should have a disclaimer. Every single thing you're seeing in this video is garbage. It's not true. I mean, just say it. Some of them actually have a disclaimer like that. It's done for dramatic effect. But some of the stuff is accurate. If you assume that me falling down in the forest, not scraping myself, just falling down in the forest next to another person can give you my DNA and their DNA as them being the victim and me being the perpetrator. Let's assume there was a struggle that day in Delphi. If you assume that level of contact can't be duplicated by someone going to Starbucks and picking up a cup, and God help you if you assume, well, that's not admissible. Yes, as a matter of fact, it really is admissible. It's just looked down on. A voluntary, submission of DNA would also be done by a guilty person if they knew for a fact that they just managed to not leave any DNA. You know how you don't leave DNA at a scene if you're planning on murdering people? Take an extremely good bath, get yourself trimmed and clean, shave everything you can possibly get away with, and put on brand new clothing that you'll never wear again because you burn it in your backyard after you're done doing something. And what's funny is, that's a direct quote from the FBI website at one point. Or you get used clothes from a store that you know doesn't really clean them very well, like because people got, crabs. And they get somebody else's DNA because it's mostly on the clothing. And you just make sure your face never touches anything. There's even a way of making sure your face, by using exfoliation, doesn't leave any dead cells around. And then you put on a coating of a particular type of cream so you don't leave anything behind. And again, that's from the FBI because they don't want to taint the environment. They'll do that to their hands and face to reduce their imprint and footprint. I am so fed up with this shit. We can catch the data from the crime scene very, very accurately, even though it's complete crap. But we can't follow somebody around against their will and collect their data because the police are suddenly fucking honest. And it would taint a case. Or they could just arrest the person and keep them from being a threat and dig up everything else. If they know enough details about the crime scene that all they need is the person's specifics, they would have caught him by now. And they sure as hell wouldn't avoid collecting their DNA at Starbucks or at the store when they're pushing on a cart. And this was pre-COVID, by the way. And even during COVID, it would work. Maybe even better. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Good luck.